get started with the meeting, I do want to introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Megan Hunter. I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Salinas. So what is going to occur this evening is really we're going to have an informal presentation, just a real quick kind of overview of what the West Area Specific Plan entails. Really what we want to encourage you to do is to go around to the different stations. There are 4 stations, to have an opportunity to ask questions about areas of interest to you related to the plan. There are 4 areas. The first one to my right is the land use station. Tara, who's waving right there, Tara Hollinger, will be available to answer any questions regarding land use. Right behind you is the housing station. I will be there to answer any questions regarding housing. And then to my left is regarding public works. And Andrew Easterly will be there to answer any questions about public works related items, and particularly I think a lot of people have interest in traffic. He did also bring some information about the Boronda Road Improvement project, so he can also discuss that. And then in the far corner is the station for the developers, and so if you wanted to talk to the developers, they will be there as well and can kind of talk to you a little bit about the proposal. I wanted to let people know that this proposal has been going on for many, many years. It's been contemplated for nearly 20 years. The property was annexed long ago. It was contemplated in the general plan, which was adopted in 2002. So this is not a new proposal. I know that people are just kind of learning about it now, which is good, and that's why we really wanted to have a community opportunity to answer questions and make sure that you're informed as we finish out the entitlement process. This meeting is not really meant to take public testimony. We have you, and hopefully you'll sign in to our mailing list. We will inform you when the item goes to the Planning Commission, which is the body that can hear any public testimony or comments, and then City Council. So be assured that we will make you aware of those meetings when they do happen. I did want to acknowledge the public officials that we have here. We have Mayor Joe Gunther, and we also have Councilman Barrera, and we also have our City Attorney Chris Callahan here. And there are a number of city staff. I'm not going to mention everyone's names because hopefully you'll get to talk to them. But if you could raise your hand to acknowledge city staff members who are here to answer any questions. Great. So we will have that. And with that, I did want to acknowledge the project lead. The project director is Tara Hollinger, who I mentioned will be at the land use station, and then Jill Miller, who's dressed in red. And I did also want to acknowledge we have the developers who are here, Marie Herod and Jared Topko, who have done development in the city for many years, so many of you may know them. And then they're represented by Brian Finnegan, who's also been very involved in this project for, like I said, the better part of 20 years. So it's, like I said, a long project. So with that, I did want to give an opportunity for Jill to give a brief overview of the project, and then again, encourage you to take your time at each of the stations. We also have plenty of food and refreshments, and please feel free to help yourself as we go. Bathrooms are also out to the left. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Jill Miller, Senior Planner in the Community Development Department under Megan, and my manager is Tara Hollinger. And this project, as Megan had mentioned, was contemplated in the 2002 General Plan, and it's part of the north of Boronda Future Growth Area, and has been slated for development since that time, annexed in 2008. And this is the first development that's come to fruition essentially, and now we're moving forward in implementing that vision of the general plan. So I'm going to take you briefly through. So this slide is, thank you. Demonstrating where we're generally located here. So again, the west area is shown here in red. It's the first of 3 large specific planned areas identified as the north of Boronda Future Growth Area. The particular project site is bound by Boronda Road, San Juan Grade Road, Natividad, a future extension of Russell Road, and Rogie Road to the north. And it is, again, the first of the 3 large ones. The area that you see in green there is the gateway specific, the gateway specific plan, which is the Lowe's development, just for some orientation. And this graphic shows sort of the existing conditions as well as includes some of the ownership information. There's multiple owners, and that sort of has contributed to some of the legwork getting us here today in terms of cooperation with a large group. There are several applications that will be considered for recommendation by the Planning Commission and ultimately for action by the City Council. An environmental impact report has been prepared and a specific plan. And there also is a rezone and development agreement affiliated with this bundle of project applications. So this graphic is the specific plan land use map. It shows you generally what's going to be built out in the west area specific plan. Generally, it's 4,340 dwelling units. These will be distributed over low, medium, and high densities, and as well as 571,500 square feet of mixed-use commercial, as mixed-use and residential in what's called the Village Center to provide services up in the neighborhood. 11 parks, 5 schools, and open space, well sites, other supporting uses to ultimately make a comprehensive community up there. And this graphic is showing you kind of a breakdown. So again, with regard to the densities, you can visit the housing table later to definitely ask questions about this. So the project does have low, medium, and high density. The general plan requires a mix of medium and high density units to sort of achieve a greater diversity of housing product and hit additional price points. And in addition to those units, accessory dwelling units can be considered there. They're going to be governed by our existing accessory dwelling unit ordinance. The inclusionary housing ordinance will also apply as it exists today. And there's also provision for what's called commercial conversion that allows some flexibility of some of that commercial space in the village center to be converted to residential dwelling units. And so that could lead to an additional 250 units that is over and above that 4,340 that we mentioned. And generally, and again, this is an implementation of the vision of the general plan, so we're going to implement what's called new urbanism development. And it has features such as a pedestrian-friendly environment, narrow streets, traffic calming devices to sort of get a better sense of engagement in community and encourage walkability and bikeability. And it's important to note that the build-out is not going to happen overnight. We're looking at a 20 to 30 year build-out for these homes. So it's going to be, trickling in little by little here. This is a conceptual graphic to show kind of what the mixed-use village center is going to look like. The idea, and this is again a general plan design principle that the project is implementing, is to have a main drive with the commercial pressed towards the front of the street to encourage that walkability with perhaps mixed-use residential either above or on the same site, with the parking hidden behind the buildings to, again, kind of push that emphasis to the pedestrian and the bicyclist versus the automobile. And this graphic is demonstrating some of the walkability of the area. You can see that the parks and schools are generally within a 5 to 10 minute walking distance from the dwelling units located throughout the area. So some careful consideration was given to encourage that walkability factor in this project. And this graphic is showing you the vehicular circulation, of course. We all still have cars, we still have to have those accommodated. But again, the features here are going to be narrower streets and traffic calming devices at intersections to keep that traffic slow and safe and encourage walkability. Narrower streets, yes sir. And this slide is kind of showing you where we're at in the environmental process. And one thing I want to mention while I'm on this slide is, in addition to the meetings that you see listed here under the public meeting section here in the middle, we have the study session at the Planning Commission on April 3rd, and the City Council study session on April 30th, which we did a 300-foot mailing notice for, to sort of try to engage the community and invite you to come out and learn about the project, which is what we're also doing here today. And additionally, at the time of the general plan, outreach occurred at that time to kind of bring the community input in with regard to that new urbanism development. And the project also has been before the Library Community Services Commission and the Traffic Commission. All these inputs all collaboratively bring us to our goal here. Now this is what the zoning map will look like upon adoption, should it be adopted. The existing zoning up there, because it is in the city limits already, as I mentioned, it was annexed in 2008, and it has what's called a placeholder zoning called New Urbanism Interim. And so as a part of this project, we're going to go ahead and really further refine that zoning map to dictate the land uses moving forward. And the development agreement is not so much a graphic representation, but it is a component of the application package, so I wanted to touch on it briefly with you all. It is essentially an assurance on both the city and the developer so that they know how, over this 20 to 30 year period of time, how the project will be governed, what regulations will apply, what fees will apply, etc. And so here we are, June 10th at our community meeting. This is the list of meetings that have occurred up until this point. And as Megan had mentioned, this is sort of an opportunity to hopefully educate the community on the project so that you can be best armed with knowledge when we do move forward to those Planning Commission City Council hearings, so that your questions, comments, and concerns can be really thought out and we can assist you in that way. And I want to also stress that these are target dates at this point. We're targeting for them July 17th for Planning Commission and City Council August 13th. However, a 10-day notice would be distributed and circulation in the paper, and that if for some reason we're not able to hit those targets. And again, as Megan mentioned, we have stations around the room. Public Works, if you have questions about kind of circulation, infrastructure, that kind of thing, and staff is available. Land use, if you have sort of general questions about the project and all of the different components that it comprises. Housing is in the back corner with Megan Hunter, Director of Community Development. And if you have questions for the development team as well, they're available. And I'm going to leave this PowerPoint on loop here for you, so you can kind of sit at your leisure, have a burrito, watch it. And additionally, there are hard copies of the PowerPoint, as well as hard copies of each of the posters at each station. So if there's information that you want to take home with you, or feel free, I know I've seen some of you all high tech with your phones, feel free to take pictures of the information and come out to us if we can answer any questions for you.
Also, if anyone needs any translation, we have an interpreter, so please just raise your hand. And we also have other people here as well.
You might want to say it in Spanish.
I'm going to have one of those. Oscar?
Para todas las personas hispanohablantes, si alguien necesita interpretación, tenemos un intérprete disponible.
Sí, como dijo la señora, buenas tardes, Oscar. Si necesitan traducción, tenemos a alguien que pueda traducir. Al igual que yo y mi compañero Luis, que está allá, podemos traducir y contestar sus preguntas y estar cerca de los pizarrones. Gracias.
Thank you. And so with that, if you want to, I'm going to put this again on loop. So if you want, I know I ran through it really quickly, but if you want to, sit here, and otherwise feel free to just make your way around, and we're here to help.